And welcome to the Barry Foster Show, coming to you from the Ridge Floor Studios in the city of Charm, beautiful downtown Avon Park. As always, if you have any thoughts, ideas, or suggestions for the people you'd like us to interview or topics you'd like us to broach, please put them in the comments below. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. We always like to hear from the people who listen to this podcast, and it would help us if you would subscribe. It doesn't cost a dime to subscribe, but if you would subscribe, it would tell the algorithm and help us reach out a little bit further. It's going to be a short one today because, as many of you know, since Charlie Kirk assassination, things have been moving very quickly. Things have moved very fast over the weekend. His wife Erica made a presentation that they have caught a gentleman that they believe is responsible for shooting and killing Charlie Kirk. And outpourings have come from all over the country and in fact all over the world. Some people are calling this the turning point. They say the pendulum is beginning to swing back. And actually, if you watch some of the clips of Charlie Kirk, which are now all over the internet, he saw it start. He called this the biggest social movement since Woodstock, the biggest social movement in 50 years, as conservative youth have become back to the college campuses and in high schools. He said, in his terms, the statistics were showing it. And you could see that from many of the clips that he had to hush conservatives as liberal students would come to the microphones. Under his rules, if you disagreed with him, you went to the front of the line. So he enjoyed debate, and he was a happy warrior. He would engage them in pleasant conversation, even though he would demolish them in the debate. He was always smiling. I've only seen of the clips I've seen. You only really saw him unhappy a few times when people were doing things that he absolutely disapproved of. But when it came to the subject matter, the matters of substance, he was always smiling, and he made kids think. And even when you have people that are on polar opposites making the debate, you may not change the person's mind who you're debating, but the people who are watching it and considering both sides or multiple sides of an argument, you may be able to sway them. And we were seeing him making changes in hearts and minds of these youth. I'll tell you that when Donald Trump first announced and was running for office in 2016, I hearkened back to the political advice of my dear friend, the late Steve Roberts, who talked about how as a candidate you had to run and build your brand and have your highest amount of approval on election day. Well, since that time, things have changed. You have to have it a few weeks ahead of election day because of early voting and such. But Donald Trump had reached such a fever pitch, I didn't think he could make it last. You know, it's hard to maintain that kind of a level for such a long time. But I was wrong. He did, and in fact, maintained that level not only through the election, but into his time in office and through his time in office. And over 10 years, he has really been able to keep that level of enthusiasm going through the MAGA movement. It has been astonishing to me. And I get that same kind of feel, a very similar kind of feel with the turning point movement, that it is something that has been ignited, and it's more than just a flash. It's more than just something that's happening now. I mean, we've seen rallies in Chicago, even in Detroit, very unlikely places for turning point style rallies. In fact, it's gone to London, it's gone to Berlin, it's gone to Buenos Aires, and it has a different feel to it. It feels like this is hope, this is light, this is something that is going to continue. It's been said when a tyrant dies, his reign is over. But when a martyr dies, his reign begins. And there, I think, is a lot of credence to that idea. I mean, Charlie wanted to be remembered for his faith. And this should be our base as we step into the breach. We should base what we're doing on our Christian values. In fact, Erica Kirk, one of the last things she told people was to get into a good Bible believing church, which is, I think, the first step into this, and to answer and to respond in the way that Christ would respond. Our response needs to be Christ-like. Since Charlie Kirk's death, I pointed it out, other people have pointed out, there have been no riots. There have been no burnings. There have been no statues pulled down. There's been no widespread destruction. This is a movement. This is different. We are different. We are Americans. And it's time for us to talk to our friends, to our neighbors, to our children. I mean, many people didn't know who Charlie Kirk was, or maybe had heard of him, but really didn't understand his thought process and who he was. But they're finding out now. They're finding him now. The internet, of course, is littered with clips from him talking with different students, with him being on talk shows. There's a very great piece with him with Tucker Carlson talking about issues. I mean, you're finding out how we need to speak to these folks, how we need to talk to them, how we need through gentle persuasion to begin to convert people and get them back into the Christian mode. I mean, to preach the Christian, to preach Christ, to preach the family, to preach the Constitution, and to respond to these people. And there are many trolls out there. We see headline after headline. This teacher has been fired. That teacher has been fired. This person, people who were celebrating his death, have been terminated from office. And we really need to pray for those people on many levels. We really need to pray for these folks. We need to respond in a way that they won't. There are people out there who would love to have some kind of war started. In fact, Charles Manson was supposedly widely said that one of the things he was trying to do was to start a revolution. And there are people who would love to see the left and the right go into battle mode, and that can't. Our battle mode has to be the winning of the hearts and minds. And on a show with John Larson a bit earlier, I said this. I'll say it again. Charlie was winning the hearts and minds of the youth on campus by offering them hope, by being a pleasant individual. They had some very robust back and forth. He and students, he and teachers, he and adults. But Charlie was always very gracious, much more gracious than some of us could be. But nonetheless, it's going to be up to us to begin to look at this and to study and to know and to begin to bring people back in to the way America should be. American was founded on Christian principles. And I think it was John Adams who said that the Constitution was made for a moral people. Without that, it was useless. And that's, I think, one reason they've gone after the Christian precepts, is because they want people to be less and less moral. And the pendulum has swung so far, it's now coming back. Democrats and leftists have positioned themselves in a very, very untenable place. So it's time for us now to step forward and to begin to gather them in, to gather in people and say, look, let us reason together. Let us be Americans. Let us not let them destroy us. Because even under the Reagan administration, he pointed out, we're the last best hope. There's no place for us to go. This is where we need to stand. This is where we need to draw our line in the sand. They hated Charlie for what he was doing to the youth. We need to give them hope. We need to make them think. We need to bring them around. I mean, when Jesus went to the cross and was resurrected from the dead, he came back and gave his disciples the Great Commission, which was to spread the gospel throughout the uttermost parts of the earth. And it is now up to us to take the Great Commission and spread Charlie Kirk's message of Christianity, the Constitution, and the family to the uttermost parts of the earth. This is really more than a fight between political ideals. This is really a spiritual battle between light and between darkness. This is going to be a great reckoning, and we have been waiting for the great awakening for some time. This may be it. Like I said, this is going to be a short one. I will tell you that that Turning Point did put out a great video about Charlie Kirk called "The Life, Faith, and Legacy That Endures." And I'd like to play some of that right now.
We're active in about 15 campuses, and we're growing very, very quickly. And keep in mind, this is not just a flash in the pan movement. We're going to become an institution to give them the power and the confidence to stand up and let their voice be heard. I started this organization when I was 18 years old. I decided not to go to college. I didn't get my dream school, which was the United States Military Academy at West Point. I have this idea to galvanize and motivate the future youth of this country around a core set of ideas, not just political parties or politicians. And the ideas are really America's the greatest country in the history of the world. Constitution is the greatest political document ever written, and free enterprise is the most assured way to lift people out of poverty and create prosperity for all. Those are the three big ideas. And I think that's something that can win. We as Christians are called to go into the public arena to correct error with truth. So I go to college campuses and there's a lot of error. We're all sinners. We all live in error. I'm far more interested in what God wants of me than what I want from God.
I have to say this without getting emotional, but I'm very proud of my husband. And I know many of you are too. You have worked so hard. And I know a lot of you have seen, obviously, his videos on TikTok and all the stuff he does on campus, but no one gets to see him from my angle except for myself and our children. And the sacrifices that he made this year, he's amazing. I'm very blessed.
And I would not have been able to do any of it without Erica. And that's the real truth. I'll tell you what. You are here as a grassroots response to the top-down revolution happening in this country. I want our Turning Point USA students to receive a round of applause. These are the freedom fighters of America.
The media said that Turning Point could never run a ground game. They weren't experienced. They didn't know Charlie, right?
This is the greatest generational realignment since Woodstock. This generation is the most conservative generation that we have seen in well over 50 years, and the numbers show it. What young people especially are screaming at is they say, give me a structure that I can live my life by. And especially with young men, more challenging of them, more saying, you know what, honestly, I'm not going to talk down to you. Stop being a boy and become a man. You want to learn what that means? Come to church and I'll tell you what it means to become a man. Because we have the greatest story ever told. What can I do to save the country? You answer that question every single day because you are doing the work to save this beautiful republic. You are doing something that is bigger than you.
If everything completely goes away, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. Most important thing is my faith in my life.
And what can we do? Well, we can support Charlie Kirk's family by going to GiveSendGo/Kirk family. That's GiveSendGo/Kirk family, and go to Turning Point USA. When Erica Kirk gave her speech, they had 9,000 chapters across the United States. After her speech, they got requests to start 18,000 chapters. Okay, they double pretty much their chapters here in the United States. They got 32,000 inquiries. They've crashed the site repeatedly there at Turning Point USA. So if you go and it's down, just keep going back. Find out how you can help, how you can donate. And if you're here in Highlands County, contact us. We would like to see a Turning Point USA chapter right here in beautiful Highlands County. Like I said, it's going to be a short one, but it's time now. The Great Awakening has started. You can be at the beginning. Respond the way Christ would respond. Do not give them the satisfaction of being ugly. And John and I will be back tomorrow. You've been listening to the Barry Foster Show from the Ridge Floor Studios in the City of Charm, beautiful downtown Avon Park. Any thoughts, ideas, or suggestions that you would like to make them in the comments below. We really appreciate you more than you know. As we continue to look for truth, justice, and the American way, this is Barry, and we'll see you next time.